Dustborn let me smash fascists and flirt with my situationship on a road trip across America. The future is queer if you're along for a ride.
That's not gone well.
What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the Chud Champion Dr. Disaster. And it's funny how some games are able to keep charging premium prices even after a few years of being released, whereas the piece of shit games that nobody wants to play are running around and basically advertising free! Let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about here. A few years ago, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 came out, and it sold millions and millions of copies. In fact, a cursory glance at VG Insights suggests that on the Steam platform alone, that game has sold approximately 6 million copies. And if you go to the Space Marine 2 Steam page, you will see that the standard edition for the game is still $60, and they have anniversary editions that are $90 and $120 respectively. Saber Interactive haven't added any discounts to their game because frankly, they don't have to.
Oh, you want this, don't you?
Another game, which released at about the same time, was Black Myth Wukong. That game went on a legendary tear on Steam, becoming one of the most played games ever, hitting almost 2.5 million concurrent players. They sold somewhere around 17 million copies of that game on the Steam platform alone, according to VG Insights. And even now, the game is currently the number 9 top seller on the platform, where currently, they do have a bit of a sale going on this nearly 2-year-old game. If you look here, they just enacted a 30% discount, so sales definitely do happen even for games that are insanely successful like this. But that is in sharp contrast to some games where the developers are basically giving it away because it was utterly despised by the gaming community. The best example of that is actually the subject of this video. I am talking about the hyper-progressive game Dustborn.
I want you guys to like me, and you look at me like I'm a freak.
That's a bingo.
This game was released at approximately the same time as Space Marine 2 and Black Myth Wukong, and unlike Black Myth, which was attacked by game journalists because they didn't think it had enough female characters in it, and they attacked the studio Game Science, calling them a sexist organization, but unlike that game, the game journalists out there praised Dustborn and gave it all kinds of accolades because it is regarded by many as just about the wokest game ever made. It was a AA title that got a lot of attention from the media for ideological reasons, but I thought I would give you guys a very early Christmas present, the opportunity to laugh at these jackasses and their failure. The news is that Dustborn just enacted a sale of their own, but rather than something simple like a 30% sale as a way of saying thank you for big success, these guys are basically giving their game away for 95% off because the modern audience never showed up and they are desperate for sales. Modern audience. Here, modern audience.
I've got a little snack for you.
Alright, me hearties, there is some important context that you need to understand in order to feel the proper amount of schadenfreude toward this game, Dustborn. First of all, as I said before, this is regarded by many as just about the wokest game ever made. The characters in Dustborn are a musical band traveling by bus across an alternate future United States of America where apparently evil fascists have taken over. And keep in mind that this is a game that was developed by Europeans, so they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to American political statements. They just watch progressive mainstream media and buy into all the hyperbole about evil right-wing extremism or whatever buzzwords they want to go with this time. The mechanics in this game are apparently described as canceling your enemies because the Tumblr level dialogue in this shit is cringe as hell. The main character is a woman of color because of course it is, and one of your friends is this big fat lady with that skin disease that AAA games were obsessed with for a while. But as I said before, this was not a AAA game, this was a AA title, which is why it was so annoying to see so many outlets not only give this game the time of day, which they don't usually do for a lot of AA games, but as you can see here, IGN actually scored this turd a 7 out of 10, calling it good. They praised the game for a while, combating the gamer chuds in a battle of narratives as they attempted to convince people that this was a really cool game. Keep in mind that there were titles like First Berserker Kazan from a year or so ago where for a while they couldn't get anyone to review that game on Metacritic so that they could get a proper score on that website. Only 4 reviews are needed for that to happen to get a score on Metacritic, and it took a week or so for that to occur. Not only did they not hype it up, but they ignored it in an attempt to avoid creating any kind of hype. They did the same thing with Lollipop Chainsaw Repop a few years ago. It took them over a year before that game had enough reviews on Metacritic in order to be given a proper score because the game journalists are ideologically opposed to it for a variety of reasons. One more interesting thing to know about Dustborn is this here. Dustborn was apparently at least partially funded by the Norwegian government to the tune of around what amounts to $1.3 million. The Norwegian Film Institute is a government program that took people's tax dollars in that country and used it to counter misinformation or whatever stupid idea they had in their heads when making this game. With all of that context in mind, here is what it looks like on the Dustborn Steam page right now. This is your very early Christmas present, folks. The game is currently 95% off of its original $30 price tag, and that is because simply nobody is buying or playing this game. A discount like this is pure desperation. I mean, look at the Steam numbers here. 2 years ago, they peaked at 83 concurrent players, and even with this extremely deep discount, they hit only 19 concurrent players in the past 24 hours. If you take a look at their numbers on VG Insights, things are not too swell for them overall. This is a game that has sold about 13,000 units on the Steam platform over the past 2 years. That is gallingly pathetic, given how the media was in their corner the way that they were. And on the PlayStation, they clearly haven't been faring much better. Currently, the game is 80% off, costing $6. Or, if you have PlayStation Plus, they give you another 5% discount. But, let me just throw this out there, this is what happens these days when a game sells like shit. We have consistently seen this sort of thing with games that are filled with shitlib wokeness. For example, take a look at Dragon Age the Veilguard. I have covered heard before how that game was being practically given away with discounts down to as much as $5 for a copy of the game at retailers like Amazon and Best Buy because they have so many physical copies of the game that they just cannot get rid of. They were literally bundling that game in with certain products like computer monitors in Australia a while ago. According to VG, though, Dragon Age has sold around 490,000 copies on Steam, which is not good at all, considering the size of the budget for that game and the expectations based on the pedigree of the franchise after its predecessor won Game of the Year. It is estimated that overall, when you count all the platforms available, that Dragon Age the Veilguard has sold somewhere in the ballpark of 1.5 million copies. Currently, as of the time of this recording, on Steam, Dragon Age has a massive 65% discount. This is just what happens to games that try to lean into progressive woke shit, and I am delighted to see the fruit of their stupidity happen with Dustborn as well. They have had 2 years to try to convince people to buy that stinker, and to no avail. It is as popular as a rug burn. Anyhow, make sure to hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already, and if you are already subscribed, make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. Lots of people tell me all the time they've been unwillingly unsubscribed, and also, don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster1. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of Dustborn into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching me, hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.